Shout out Sniper T on the beat.
Tamara to the break of dawn is on the rise, with life on the forefront of the mind. So line for line, you can ride this brain train and you can change your station without even touching the dial. So relax, stay a little bit, but listen for a while. And whether you're bumping this in the whip or in a business fit, it's a meeting you won't want to miss. A meeting for a meal to feed the soul with words for the mind. So sit back, enjoy the ride. Time to take off, it's time to fly. Cause Tamara till the break of dawn is on the rise.
Hey, y'all. It's me, Tamara. Yes, thank you so much for tuning in. Studio audience, you always make it do what it do, baby. Yes. So welcome to the show. To all my new listeners, new episodes typically drop every Thursday. For all my day 1, 2, 3, 4, 99, whatever you came in, I know last week was late, but as I had stated, technical difficulties that were beyond, it was above me. Just like as I'm trying to record right now, and I'm like trying to get ahead of it, and I promise y'all, I'm going to figure out if I can get some different internet service. I don't even know what that looks like, but like it has really been tripping lately in the 7, almost 8 months that we have been here. And we've had to have internet the entire time because I need it for everything that I do, right? It has been a trip this past month, but for sure this last week has been just ridiculous. But here I am recording. So let me just go ahead and get into the topic. Because actually, if I'm going to keep it all the way real, I was already in the middle of recording and then the internet just went out. And so I'm just going to get into the topic and forget all the little small talk I had going on before. You know what I'm saying? So I'd mentioned in the last episode that I had really been struggling the week prior to when that episode dropped. So basically,
at the time of this recording,
about 2 weeks ago, I went through just heavy, I know it was like a spiritual battle. So for those of y'all that are new, a relationship with the Lord is super important to me. I'm always talking about the importance of being mentally, emotionally, spiritually healthy, talk about my life, how I'm trying to grow. And with that spiritual healthiness, like for me, it's my relationship with the Lord. But at the end of the day, all of us need to be spiritually healthy. And that is what keeps my spirit healthy, right? And so here's the thing. I was under heavy spiritual attack, like literally, man, like insecurities, fears, wounds, pain, all this stuff that either I thought I had dealt with or I just haven't had it rise up to that magnitude. And I don't know how long that. Plus I was feeling depressed, feeling anxious, feeling super fearful, like low energy. And mind you, it was leading up to that time of the month for me. So typically prior to that, I'll be more emotional, low energy to a degree. But once, like, honestly, there were several indicators that let me know that this wasn't about it being my time of the month. But one of them was that I didn't have an appetite, because leading up to my time of the month, I'm typically hungrier, right? And so I'm so glad that I'm on the other side of that. I was able to get breakthrough, freedom, and all that. Now, the interesting thing about freedom is that there's the initial freedom that you get, right? So, it may be you just cry out or you whatever, like healing comes so many different ways for people. So I'm not going to belabor like how healing comes, because everybody's journey is different, right? Whatever healing comes, so freedom, healing, and for the purposes of this episode, those are like two in the same, right? So freedom is healing, is freedom is healing for this episode, right? And so the thing about healing is that there's the initial healing that happens, right? But then there's the point where you have to walk in that freedom, walk around and interact with people as a healed person. And it's so interesting because, one of the things that was bubbling up to the surface is like pain from past relationships and pain from situationships and just all this stuff that is like, I have not truly cared about that and I don't know how long, or can I truly say that? Because I started really thinking about just this fear of being known that I've had, like this fear of being exposed, like as I've talked about on here and just alluded to, like being interested in somebody I know and this, that, and the other. And that's still a thing. Have I talked to this person about it? No, because as you could tell as I talk about it, one, I'm trying to figure out, okay, the why behind it. And I'm a deep thinker anyway. So to me, I'm not surprised that my process is, because at this point, it's been like, this kind of began in like April. I don't think I talked about it on here in April, but like if we're going to be all the way real about timetables and whatever, this began in April and it's about to be August. And I interact with this person, I see them where I see them, whatever, whoop-de-woo. And it's me just observing them, getting to know them, like I interact with them too. So I'm not on no you stalker stuff, talk about some hello you. No, we not on that. Like I have interactions with them and this, that, and the other. But it's me processing, like trying to figure out the why behind, because what's different about this is anybody else that I've ever been interested in, it was more so based off of it was, how can I explain this? Like we were really, really good friends usually. They were there for me emotionally or this, that, and the other. So a lot of it was based on that. Some would say that's trauma bonding, and in some cases it was. We had shared pain and whatever, but it wasn't always that. But it was like they were there for me, and it was more so, which sounds actually really selfish. So I'm about to say this out loud. Like it was based on how they were, I don't want to say benefiting me, but I guess that's the only way that I could think of it. Like I was gaining something from our interactions, and it wasn't just solely based on like who they were as a person, and also me getting to know them as a person in some ways, depending on the situationship that I'm talking about, it was a little skewed because it's kind of like, it makes me think of like online dating. And me and Lindsey, shout out to her from Penn Hamzy. So shout out to, Penrose too. But we were talking the other day about just the whole idea of online dating and how like you're getting to know somebody and it's like they're presenting who they want you to be. Now, granted, there are people that I know that have done online dating. They're married, da da da. It works for them. For me, it doesn't work. For me, it's like I need to know who somebody is. And more so, I need somebody to know who I am, because if you just kind of already have an idea how I am and who I am and whatever, it honestly will alleviate a lot of the overthinking that I do, because it's like, oh, well, you already know this about me, or you already know that about me, or you already say this, and then vice versa. I see how you handle stress, or I see how you handle this, that, and the other. And I'm getting to like see that with this person that I'm interacting with and whatever. And that's probably how things really should go, It shouldn't have been how it was before. That's why they were situationships and caused, honestly, more pain than good. But with that, as part of walking in my freedom, I've had to really like be intentional about trying to not be fearful to be known, right? And I'm not saying be known like, oh, tell you I like you or whatever. I'm not talking about that. Just you see who I am as a person. I started noticing that in any other situation with anybody else that's around, where I see this person at, it's like I would feel free to be myself. And then there would be this fear to be myself around this person. And so, like, I've really had to choose to walk in freedom and choose to not be fearful to be known. And then with that, though, it's kind of dope because it's brought on like just a bunch of freedom in general. And I think that was more so because of the healing that came as a result of like the spiritual heaviness and the spiritual battle that I was going through. And so it's been such a really interesting season because those of you who have been listening, it's so wild that I'm going to be coming up on 4 years soon, and just having 4 years of my life, my growth, and all of that. And then now that I'm going to have a grandson soon, and I didn't even think about this until Kyle, 12 Cal, shout out to him. But he texted me to congratulate me on becoming a grandma because he listened to that episode. And so, whenever he's born and old enough to listen to podcasts or even just watch YouTube videos or whatever, like now it's like the legacy that I'm leaving behind, that like all of this content in my mind is like, oh, this is so my kids. Yeah, there always was the and maybe future grandkids, but now that's like a reality, you know what I'm saying? And so having almost 4 years of content and 4 years of growth, vulnerability has been like the first episode of this show was called, I think, Vulnerability Ew, because being vulnerable, but ultimately, it's being known, right? And when I think about it, it's amazing that I was ever in any relationship, because as I think back through life, that has always been a struggle. And it's like, I'm not even going to say it's because I'm older. I'm just going to say it's because I've been a lot more intentional about healing, a lot more intentional about like, I just want to be free. Like that is oftentimes, and I'm self-aware and I can feel when things feel off or whatever. And so whenever I come up against that, and me and Lindsey were just talking about this too, I could either try to escape it like I typically would in the past. Ways of escape doesn't matter. I'm still not dealing with whatever. Or I could lean into it, and while yes, it may hurt for a little bit, then you go through whatever you need to go through to bring about the healing. And then on the other side of that hurt, like then I'm freer. And so I've just been a lot more intentional about all of that lately. And so it's been really just such a cool season, because if I'm honest, and I've been single for 16 years, like situationships I may have had, but I didn't have like an actual relationship, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm in hindsight, like, I mean, it's not, I'm still single, but when I really have been thinking about it, because I'm just very reflective right now, because there are like different milestones coming up. Like this Saturday, the 29th, makes 2 years of Tamara the Dawn Inc. existing. This August will make like 10 years that I've been at my church. I've never been at anywhere in life for 10 years, besides being on earth, obviously, but like there's nowhere that I've been 10 years. And I'm just a person that's really big on milestones and really big on whatever. And so it's made me like a lot more reflective lately. I mean, let's be real. When Tamara the Dawn Inc. launched, I was in that state of transition, staying at my mom's house. You know what I'm saying? And so then to be last year when I celebrated the 1 year anniversary, or yeah, I was at my mom's house. And so then to be at the 2 year mark, back in my own space again, you know what I'm saying? And also things have pivoted and shifted. I don't know. And then I've just really been thinking about shifting things to where it's a balance of online type stuff so that I could have more time to myself, less travel time, still doing the subcontracting work. But I went from solely virtual to solely in person, which requires a lot of driving here, there, and everywhere. And now I'm trying to find this balance. And I can always feel when like things are going to shift and things are going to pivot. And for anybody who's listening who may want to start a business, or who maybe chasing after a goal, that's one thing in life that you're going to have to do, is pivot. And especially in business, I feel like if something is working, great. If things need to change, be okay with that. And it just is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Keep the main goal the main goal. So for me, the main goal is to not have to go back to a 9 to 5. Like I don't want to do that, because I can't fathom giving a company 45 hours of my week, you know what I'm saying, and not having the freedom to decide how I'm going to spend my time. Now, with that, I schedule clients and all that. So, like, there's still some, I got to do this, that, and the other, but I get to decide that and agree with the client when we're going to meet, not, oh, I got to be here from 8 to 5, or I got to be here from 9 to 6, or 10 to 7, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And so, that's the goal, not to go back to a 9 to 5. And so I've had to pivot, whatever. And so I'm just super reflective right now, and super grateful for just the freedom that I am experiencing now. Like, I feel like I'm the freest I've ever been. I feel like I have the least fears of being known. It's kind of like it just is what it is. You're going to know me or not. Now, there is wisdom with not telling everybody everything. So always have to put that disclaimer out there. But it's like, I don't know. It's just, I'm in this. And it really, after I went through that heavy, heavy stuff, it's like being on the other side of that. And I pressed into that. When I tell you, so many tears were cried, so many prayers were prayed. And it's interesting because I remember listening to this worship song and like praying and just really feeling like I heard the Lord say, like, I don't have to fear being known. Now, specifically, if I'm going to be all the way real, as part of that, he was saying, I don't have to fear being known by this person that I'm interested in, because I was really wrestling with the fact that it just felt like a struggle to be normal around this person. And I didn't like that, because I am typically the type of person who is the same. I'm me wherever I go. You know what I'm saying? Like, the way I am on the mic is the way I am off the mic, but probably even more so off the mic, just because there's some stuff I'm just not going to put out there. You know what I'm saying? But I'm me wherever I go. Right. And so when I don't know, I can't even explain it. And it's not because this person was doing anything. It's not even about a red flag or nothing like that, because I know when it's that, it was just fears and insecurities and this, that, and the other. Fear of rejection, even, because there's like this fear of being exposed, right? Then there's the fear of rejection of being exposed. But it's like, at the end of the day, anybody that I didn't end up with, I never was sad about that after the fact. It was always like, okay, in hindsight, this, that, and the other. And it's not about them being wrong or like a bad person or me being a bad person. It's just some people are just not for you for what you want them to be for you for. I think I said that right. And that's okay. You know what I'm saying? And so it wasn't the fear. It was just, fear of being known, fear of whatever, and like fear of just being myself. And like, that was weird. But I love that I went through that, because, like I said, I pressed into that. And I mean, it was crazy. It was like pain from my bio dad bubbling to the surface, pain from other wounds. I feel like I've talked about on here that I was like sexually abused as a kid. So that was bubbling, like all this stuff was bubbling to the surface all at once. And it was just like, what the heck is going on? And it's so crazy because it became so all consuming that it felt like I would never see the other side of that. Like when it's like that heavy, that's when I know it's some sort of like battle that I'm in. I've been through stuff like that before. And what's crazy is a lot of times I'll have dreams before I go into stuff like that. Now, when I have these things, it's always before healing and freedom and whatever. But I typically, when I have these dreams, it's like I'm ducking and dodging. My dreams be real interesting, but I'm like ducking and dodging bullets or ducking and dodging this or whatever, right? And like the enemies in the dream are chasing after me or whatever. Y'all, this dream that I had was I was captured by the enemy and I was like being tortured. And it was this really, really interesting thing, because it's like soapy water was being poured into my ear and like going throughout my body and like I was peeing out soapy water, maybe TMI, but whatever. It was just this really, really weird thing. But I remember when I had that dream and I woke up, because I know what like those types of dreams mean, that it was going to be this like cleansing. Like for whatever reason, the soapy water just really spoke to me that like it was going to be this cleansing. It wasn't like it was painful, yes, but I don't know how I just knew that. So then when all this, and I can't even remember when I had that dream, maybe a month ago, so maybe a couple weeks prior to this, but it might have been a little bit longer. But typically when I have the dream, it'll be thereafter, like not too long later. And so, and it's been like that since I was little. I used to think it was like deja vu. Now I know it's the Lord speaking to me through my dreams. But I had that dream, and so it's like that's literally what I was going through 2 weeks ago, where I felt like I was being tortured, and it was just like very, very, I'm not going to say it was unbearable, but I just felt like I was being tortured. However, on the other side of that, I'm free of a lot of all that stuff that bubbled to the surface. There's levels to healing, there's levels to freedom. Like any of y'all who have been through the healing journey of whatever, there's like levels to it. And I feel like for me, it's like God in his kindness, like the stuff that was coming up 2 weeks ago, I couldn't have handled that, hell, 2 months ago, you know what I'm saying? Or 2 years ago or whatever. And I just feel like God in his kindness, like they say it's like an onion, you know what I'm saying? Like even in therapy, because I've done therapy, you don't just go from whatever happened yesterday, at least I didn't, to just straight to childhood trauma. You know what I'm saying? You work your way backwards through stuff as you're comfortable addressing it and all this stuff. And so, yeah, it's been a really, really, really wild just season, but also it's been really beautiful because I feel like there's just been so much more freedom. And it's kind of like, I feel like it's crazy because I feel like if I was to get into a relationship now, I'm content single. So like even while I'm like interested in somebody, I'm at this place after I did that whole online dating stuff that I've talked about on here before. And even that's been like, what year is this? 2023. So I think 2 years ago was when because it was before my company launched is when I was done. Cause I remember telling people like what I was working on or whatever. So 2 years ago is when I was like, nah, this ain't it. You feel me? And so once I laid that down, I'm just like, I don't really know how I'm going to meet somebody because I know it needs to be somebody. It's kind of funny, kind of like how it is now where we're just getting to know each other. That way you already kind of know me and know what you're signing up for. And then I don't have to feel like, okay, well, what is your motives or whatever, just because. And part of that is because of what I've been through and this, that, and the other and whatever. And so, but I feel like though, even though, like I said, I'm content single, that I'm at a place where whoever would get, like he would get the best version of me, the most healed version, which is ultimately what you want to give somebody. Like you want to be whole and you want to be content to where they add to your life, not like out of loneliness or out of this, that, and the other. You think that's going to fix something. No, life is crazy. And then having to go through life with someone, like you really got to have the right person that you're going to go through. I mean, your highs with and your lows, you know what I'm saying? You got to have the right person with you. And so I don't know. It's been a really interesting time. I've been like just super reflective because there's so many like milestones coming up right now or whatever. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. glad I got this episode recorded because these technical difficulties be difficulties. So I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here, y'all, because I must have jinxed it because it's just started tripping. So thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you take care of yourself mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. Be healthy in your relationships. Thank you for listening, and I will talk to y'all soon. Bye.
Ladies and gents, this concludes transmission. Tune in next time for a whole new edition. Another adventure and mission to share, be heard, and clarify the vision of this whole new world for